I want to build a bigger network. And to do that, I am going to connect with 3 people a week per week for the next 12 weeks. That's the quarter, right? So if I want to build a bigger network, I'm going to reach out to and make a connection with 3 new people a week. And let's say have a coffee chat, a virtual or in person coffee chat, at least once a week for the next 12 weeks, right? Now, if I were able to do that and accomplish that goal, then I would have 12, at least 12 new connections that I've talked to, people I've had conversations with each quarter, which adds up to what, 48, almost 50 new people a year. Let's say you take a couple of weeks off for Christmas and something else, right? Spring break, 46 new connections throughout the year. And you could keep that going and imagine how big your network would grow. And those people know people. And it's really like if you are someone that is not going to naturally go connect with people like I do, then you want to systematize it. You put a system in place, you break it down. Like I said, so your goal is 12 new relationships per quarter, which means you're having one virtual coffee or real coffee per week for the next 12 weeks. And then you keep that going throughout the year. So now you're breaking that down. You're putting a system in place and establishing a habit. So that's the next thing you want to do is think about that system. Think about those things that you want to accomplish and break it down into habits, right? So this could be a habit of at least 3 new outreach a week. I'm going to send to people to ask them if they would get on Zoom with me to have a coffee, right? A virtual coffee. Now I'm, starting with 3. I'm going to get 1, and I don't have that 1 coffee a week, right? But my habit is, let's say every Monday morning before I can do anything else, I have to send my 3 outreach messages or emails. Your habit could be about health and fitness, right? You want to lose the 20 pounds. You want to run that marathon. So instead of like you take the goal and break it down, but then you establish a habit that I'm going to run 50 miles a week for the next 12 weeks to get me ready for a marathon. And maybe I work up to that. I haven't ever done marathon training. But let's say I'm going to run, 3 miles every other day the first week, 5 miles every other day the second week, 7 miles every other day the third week, and keep working up. But the habit is I will run 3 or 4 days per week for the next 12 weeks and keep ramping that up more so that I can get to the 13 or 26 miles that I need to run, be able to run that marathon at the end of the day, right? So you break it down into habits. Now, I've done this with many things. One of my most regular and successful, consistent habits over the last 5 years has been my meditation habit. I started meditating for the first time in early 2016 after I read the book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Shout out to him. And decided, okay, I want to start meditating. And I used a few different apps before I settled on the Calm app, CALM, probably heard of it. And they have a daily 10-minute meditation and it tracks if you've done it or not and gives you a streak. And I became addicted to that streak. I don't want that streak to end. So I started meditating every day. Now, I think when I first started, I did 150 days in a row and then I missed a day and said, okay, I'm going to get back on the horse. The next time I meditated 949 days in a row, I think, something like that, 947 days. And then I still remember the day in November 2019, I went to London for a conference, overnight flight, and I forgot to meditate and I missed the day. So I started over. I missed a couple more days in December and I basically started over at the beginning of 2020, I think. And I have not missed a day since then. In fact, my current streak is, I think, 804 days in a row as I record this of meditation using the Calm app. And that habit has, making it a habit and using the streak has kept me doing it every single day. And I think I've realized a lot of great benefits from that. I'm more patient. I'm more mindful. I think it's definitely contributed to my overall health, my overall success, and something I highly recommend to others. And do it whatever way works for you. For me, it's the 10-minute meditation with Calm every single morning before I do anything else. When I went to write my book, I don't have a copy here handy. There's on the wall behind me. When I went to write my book, I asked people how long is the typical business book, and I heard 50,000 words, between 40 and 60, typically 50,000 words. That sounded like a ton. I've never done much writing in my life, never written a book, never even written a blog. I've written emails, right? So how do I go about doing that? Well, I got advice from a mentor, Honore Corridor, who was my coach at the time, to break it down into milestones and habits. And that if I could just write 500 words a day for 100 days, I would have 50,000 words. And that is exactly what I did, ladies and gentlemen. I set my intention. I said, I'm going to establish a habit. I started around the first of the year in 2020 and said, I'm going to write every day for about 30 minutes to an hour, however long it takes, to get to about 500 words. And I decided I would do it typically between 6 and 7 a.m. before my kids got up. I would do my writing. And guess what? I wrote almost 7 days a week, on average, 6.5 days a week for 3 months from early January to well into April. And I over 100 days. And at the end of that time, I had over 60,000 words. And when I did the math, my average daily total, including days that I missed, was 538 words per day. So I basically broke it down into that habit, those milestones, 500 words per day. Do that for at least 100 days in a row, and I'll have a 50,000 word book. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how I ended up with my book. Now, after that, I had to do some reworking, some editing, some formatting, get some feedback, update some things, get a cover, all that stuff. And then I put a plan in place for all of that, right? I had the milestones and a plan, worked with my assistant, Stephanie. How are we going to publish a book? We need to hire a cover designer. We need to hire an editor. We need to hire a formatter. We need to hire someone to write the copy for the Amazon page because I'm not going to do that. There were a few other people that I hired and consulted in there. I'm going to take this course and I'm going to implement these things. I created established an early reader team and recruited people to that. We're going to do marketing. We're going to find people to endorse the book. And here's when we need to do those things. We created a spreadsheet with a plan and broke it down. And here's the dates when we have to have those things done. And let's stay on track. And if we do, because I have a tendency to get behind on things, then we'll get the book published on this date. And we ended up publishing the book on November 16th, 2020, which was the day that I had planned on publishing it. And we got everything done. And it has been really great for my brand, my business, and helped a lot of people. And then, oh, by the way, after that, thinking long term about, okay, I want this book to be successful. And by success, I mean, I want it to impact people, to help people, to help me build my brand. It's not all about just coming out of the gate big. It's a long term thing. So what are the habits I'm going to establish to keep getting this book out there in front of people? Well, I'm going to do a regular podcast. I'm going to do LinkedIn Lives. I'm going to post about it regularly on social media. I'm going to be sending copies out to clients and influential people. I'm going to be talking about it with people. I'm going to put a poster on the wall behind me and talk about it on my podcast. And by the way, if you have not gotten my book yet, I highly recommend you go get a copy. And if you have read the book and you haven't left a review on Amazon, I would love for you to do that. That's also part of the plan. My regular habit is if someone tells me that they read the book, to ask them, hey, would you mind leaving a review on Amazon? Because they really, really make a big difference for us as authors. And as I record this, we have, I think, just shy of 250 ratings and reviews on Amazon, almost all of them 5 stars. There's a few 4 and 3 stars, which is totally fine. Just about getting them on there. And that's more than a lot of books out there because we put in the work on a regular basis. So the point of me telling you all that is not to brag about my book. Well, I like talking about my book. It's to say, if you've got a vision, something big you want to achieve, like a book or a fitness goal or a career goal, you've got to break it down. You've got to put a plan in place, break it down into milestones, figure out what's going to help you get there. What do you need to do to achieve that goal? Can you establish a habit, some things that you can do on a daily and weekly basis that will keep moving you forward towards achieving that goal? What are those things? And then how are you going to hold yourself accountable? And that could be with some type of streak, could be marking it off, could just be checking in with yourself. You could be finding friends, colleagues, mentors, coaches who can hold you accountable as well. So find somebody, a friend, and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do every day. Can you hold me accountable and make sure that I get up at this time, that I meditate, that I write, that I work on this project, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Get feedback from your manager. You get the picture. I think I don't need to say any more about that. You know the importance of setting that vision, setting the goals, getting specific, making them time bound, breaking it down, establishing a system, and really establishing habits, healthy habits that are going to help you achieve your goal. So I would ask you, what is your goal that you want to achieve? And what are the habits that are going to help you get there? Think about that. Let me know what you think. If you have questions for the show you want me to address later on, again, hit me up on social, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Andy Storch, or send me an email, andy@andystorch.com. And if you are interested in joining a community of people who are working on their own goals and their career, come check out the new community we're launching, the Own Your Career community. Just go to ownyourcareerownyourlife.com/community, or just go to ownyourcareerownyourlife.com. Everything is right there. And finally, if you work in a large company and you're looking for someone to help inspire other people to own their careers, feel free to reach out to me. I am on a mission to inspire more people to take ownership of their careers, and I'd love to talk with you about that. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and I appreciate it. Quick question that just came in from Serena, hi Serena, who hosts a great podcast on cancer, which I've been on. What are your words of advice for career changers? And the answer there is that if you're thinking about changing careers, then it starts with that self-awareness and really setting that vision for what you want to do, and then putting a plan in place for how are you going to get there. The network, I think, is going to be a really big part of that. If you're already changing careers, you're in the middle of the career change, I think the networking piece and the learning piece is really important. So continuous learning. What can you learn about this new career to help set you up for success, to be more educated? Then who do you need to know? Who are the people that have already made this switch, that are in that career already? Can you reach out to them on a regular basis and have one or two new conversations every week to help really educate you and immerse you in this space? I think nothing's going to be more helpful for you. And then believe in yourself. Like, you are doing this for a reason. You can absolutely be successful. You've got to be your biggest fan, but find some other friends and colleagues who can root you on as well. Thanks, Serena. And thanks everybody for watching and listening. Again, feel free to reach out if you have other questions, and